It's a heated yet intriguing debate, protecting an endangered snake versus the fear of placing potentially deadly vipers on the Quabbin Reservoir.
Only on 22 News, I-Team reporter Ryan Walsh gives us an in-depth look at the Rattlesnake Island controversy.
We're on the edge of the Quabbin here in Belchertown, a few miles away from where the state wants to create a colony of timber rattlesnakes beginning next year. The 22 News I-Team went out to the island where those snakes would live. We discovered it's not an island at all. You could walk there. We'll let you decide if the fear of a rattlesnake island is a rational one. Timber rattlesnakes can swim, and they can be deadly. Now the state wants to put a colony of these venomous vipers on a Quabbin Reservoir island. Is the Quabbin Reservoir a good place for these timber rattlesnakes?
I don't think so.
Nowhere else in New England that I can imagine is a better place to try this experiment.
Our story begins at the Roger Williams Zoo in Providence, Rhode Island.
Well, here's where the timbers that are going to be slated for release live and grow up. And then we have a bunch of adult snakes here that are captive breeders.
Lou Parati's the director of their conservation program at the zoo. We're hearing that rattle now. What does that mean?
That's a warning. That's, you know, oh my God, you can see me, stay away from me, back up. That's their protection. You know, their rattle is their protection, not the venom. You know, the venom is for feeding and securing prey.
If a human hears that rattle, go the other way, right?
Yeah, go the other way. I mean, snakes do not attack people. He's not going to chase you. That's all a myth.
Here's why the state is interested in breeding them. The timber rattlesnake is endangered in Massachusetts. They help control the rodent population and stop the spread of Lyme disease. It's estimated there's only 200 left in Massachusetts, including on Mount Tom and in the Blue Hills. With this project, what's the goal to get that number up to?
Our goal would be to get 100 to 150 snakes as a viable population.
Ann Stengel from UMass has been working with this species since 2009. Has there been any similar colonizations like this out on an island?
Not with snakes, no. This would be the first time.
Is the goal to help an endangered species, or is this more of a science experiment?
It's to ensure we do not lose timber rattlesnakes.
Tom French is the assistant director of the state's Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. He's in charge of this project. French told the I-Team the project would cost taxpayers around $1,500 a year. The state's plan is to release 1 to 10 snakes per year on Mount Zion in the Quabbin. The Quabbin Reservoir runs from Belchertown to New Salem and Petersam down the Ware. Where the snakes would be placed on Mount Zion, it's closest to Petersam, but the other end of the island is closest to Hardwick. The I-Team took a boat out to where the snakes would live. This is Mount Zion, and this is actually the part of the island that the state wants to put those rattlesnakes on. From here to shoreline in Petersam, it's only about a mile. As you can see from this video from Lake George in New York, these snakes swim. How often or how many of these snakes swim?
It's a very rare occurrence. I mean, there are videos of them swimming, but we're talking less than 1% of the population will actually decide to take to the water and swim.
We're at the other end of Mount Zion, about 4 miles away from where the state originally plans to place those snakes. One thing you do notice, it's not an island at all. It's connected by land. And these snakes do travel anywhere to 1 to 3.5 miles in the summer. Mount Zion, though, is connected by land at one point. Does that mileage, 1 to 3 miles, does that keep them on Mount Zion?
Is it possible that a snake could get off the island even briefly? The short answer is, of course, it's possible, but the likelihood is incredibly small. And still, though, it may be too much of a likelihood for some people.
Are you really in danger of getting bit? The CDC says there are 7,000 to 8,000 venomous snake bites in the U.S. each year. From 1999 to 2014, it was more likely to die from a venomous spider than a venomous snake, and about 9 times more likely to die from a hornet, wasp, or bee sting. If you do get bit, not every hospital carries the antivenom. It's expensive and has an expiration date. Bay State, Berkshire, and UMass Memorial do. Since 2015, these hospitals have treated 32 snake bites. It was about a half-an-hour boat ride to get out to Mount Zion. I do have cell phone service, but if someone was ever to be bit, the nearest hospital to Petersam is UMass Memorial in Worcester, about a 52-minute drive.
Ideally, if you can get treatment within 6 hours with antivenom, the outcome is almost like 99%.
100% survival.
In the Quabbin region, it's not entirely a fear factor. Tony Briganti is the president of the North Worcester County Quabbin Anglers Association.
We do fish out there. The DCR rents boats, and boats sometimes break down. What happens if a family is out there, 2 kids and a mother and dad, they break down on Mount Zion?
There's also concerns about tourism, home values, and the stigma of a rattlesnake island. Rodney Flagg owns a bait shop in Orange.
The people that hike in there and go bird watching and all that stuff, the word gets around to snakes and they ain't gonna go.
William Meehan's a trustee with the Water Supply Protection Trust.
What do you think is going to happen to my property values when it becomes known that the state has created a snake island inside the Quabbin? And from my perspective, I'm wondering, much of their concerns were laid as, that's just the fear of folks against the snakes. But to the people here, it's real.
It is rare, but these timber rattlesnakes can be deadly.
Would the state be liable if one of these timbers released into the Quabbin end up biting or killing someone?
As you said, that's so statistically improbable.
Last year, 39-year-old Russell Davis of Pennsylvania was killed by a timber rattlesnake at his campground. His family sent us these letters.
I know they usually pose no danger unless provoked, but one misstep can cause your world to change forever, something I hope no other family experiences. Mm-hmm. If that one case does happen, I mean,
well, that's sort of the beauty of this project. These snakes will stay on Mount Zion Island where nobody's allowed to go. Whereas right now, we are currently working with a challenge where we have over 200,000 hikers a year in state parks where we have rattlesnake populations. So our challenge has been to protect the snakes. Those 200,000 people have been safe. Yes, one person could die.
If someone does get bit, whose hands will that blood be on?
Obviously, if anything like that were to happen, I would say that it would be on the state's hands.
Is this a done deal?
We're always open to try to listen for a scientific reason, science-based reason why this would be a risk, why it would be a bad idea.
Senator Goby disagrees that this is a done deal. There's a legislative hearing on this topic on May 10th at the Athol Town Hall. The public's invited to attend but can't speak. You can submit written testimony. To find out how to do just that, go to our website, WWLP.com. Live at the Quabbin in Belchertown, I'm Ryan Walsh, working for you with the 22 News I-Team.